Hi, good day, everyone. This is Majia H, your lecturer for Finance in Media. In this session, we are going to be covering the Formative Assessment 1 briefing, which is your first assessment that you are going to write for this module this semester. So the assessment date is set at 9 April 2025. So you are going to write your first assessment on the 9th of April 2025. The venue is room number one opposite our normal Friday class, which is room number two. So you just go on the other direction on the test date, which is going to be on the 9th of April 2025. The time of the test is 10 to 1 o'clock, so which is 10 a.m. up until 1 p.m. So you are required that you arrive early and on time for you to be able to be given the opportunity to write these assessments. So during this assessment, we are going to test your knowledge of everything that we have covered during our class time. And this means that you will be assessed on a number of concepts as well as the number of calculation based on the topics that would have been covered during class. So it is mandatory that you practice with all the resources provided as well as to do all the homeworks that are given in class as well as to participate in all the activities that are being covered in class. I would advise that you do not miss classes on purposes because most of the things that we do cover in our lesson are things that you are going to be assessed on. So, meaning that missing one assessment or missing one of our classes will actually delay you in terms of your studies, as you might find that it covers a lot in terms of what is going to be assessed, or it might be something that you actually need for you to be able to achieve a certain percentage that you actually desired in your assessment. So please make sure that you attend all your classes regularly unless there is a circumstance where it does not allow you to do so, and please do notify me as your lecturer if you are going to miss any of our classes in time so that I am aware that certain student is not available due to certain circumstances. So in this coming assessment, it says that this formative assessment is a test that will assess your knowledge and understanding and ability to apply the basic financial concept and techniques of the first few weeks study of this important subject. We do know how important this subject is. We have already introduced what finance is and how important is it to you guys who are who are media students, that is going to also help you in your work environment. It's also going to help you in your normal daily life in terms of understanding and becoming financial literate. So in this topic, or sorry, in this coming assessment, you are going to be expected to demonstrate the following: analyze and interpret and record financial transaction, and applying practical accounting knowledge, which is what we are currently busy covering during this week and the next coming week. You will also be required to demonstrate your overall understanding of financial and mathematics term and your basic mathematical ability by working with number system, calculating price, fraction, etc., using various real life media scenarios that are going to be provided. So it is not just only going to be numbers. So I will also be assessing your knowledge and understanding of the concept and terminology used in finance to make sure that you understand, or to indicate that you are competent and you have understood everything that was being taught during class. So you will be required to define certain terms. You will be required um, to match, you will be required to identify whether the statement is true or false. So you will be assessed in many different ways. So you need to make sure that you familiarize yourself not only with the practical calculations of financial mathematics and finance, but also with the theoretical background of the concept that is being uh, covered during your lesson. So please make sure that you do pay attention during your lesson. Attend all your classes regularly so that you do not miss the theoretical background of each and every topic that is going to be covered for this assessment. So the assessment is an open book test with a total mark of 100. It is 3 hour long and it is based on chapter 1 and chapter 2. Currently, we are still covering chapter number 1, which we are just going to conclude it very shortly. And then we'll then introduce chapter 2 at a later stage before your formative assessment. So it is required that you make sure that you attend all the classes so that all the concepts that are going to be covered, you do have knowledge of and you were taught and understood all of these lesson and concept that are going to be covered in this assessment. So the current focus is chapter 1 and chapter 2. More details are going to come in the next coming slide of what to focus on. So here we do have a note that I did place that will help you in terms of understanding what you need to do. So the best way to prepare is to attend your classes regularly, ask questions where you do not understand, and do all the exercises. You learn math and financial techniques best by doing, by not reading. So these are practical concepts. So the best way to understand these concepts and techniques, you will be required that you do perform some number of activities to test your understanding and knowledge that you have gained through our lessons. So this is one subject where trying to memorize the textbook the night before is not going to help you pass. So you need to do your activities during class, your class activity, participate, and also complete all your homeworks that are given to you guys during the lesson or at the end of the lesson, and make sure that you inquire where you find it difficult or you are failing to understand a specific concept. Please make sure that you use the lecturer's email to ask him question if you do need his assistant. And also, it is important that during class time you also ask question where you do not understand. Do not allow the lecturer to move forward or the lecture to move forward if you do not understand. Ask your question whenever you do have it. Do not wait for the class to finish and then ask your question unless it is not class related or lesson related, then you can be able to do so. So the learning outcome for this coming assessment are as follows. So you need to demonstrate and apply the basic principle underlying business mathematics and accounting, where you will be required to apply the order of operation conversion to basic mathematical problems in a business. So this is your board mass where you get to apply it and also apply your number system, you show your understanding of number system uh, while performing or trying to solve this financial mathematical problem in a business. So you'll be required to play around with your podmas and you'll be assessed to see if you understand the basic principle of mathematics and how to actually apply them in a business scenario. You'll also be required to find missing figures for simple mathematical problems, which in a workplace normally happens when money goes missing and we have to figure out how much of the money went missing and how did it get missing and how can we actually try to allocate or trace the money on how it actually got missing. So these are some of the things that you'll actually play around in a real life scenario, but you'll also be given a short um, scenario to actually get to solve during your assessment. You'll also be required or to demonstrate the ability to be able to perform calculation involving fraction by using four basic operation. Demonstrate the use of percentage in a business environment. Demonstrate the ability to solve business mathematics. Analyze financial transaction and record them. Prepare an income statement. So currently we are busy with analyzing financial transaction and recording them. So you will be required that uh, you attend all the coming classes so that you fully understand this concept because this is the backbone of financial accounting and finance. For you to be able to understand all the other concepts that we're going to be doing, you also need to understand this how transaction gets to be recorded, and this then leads up to us being able to prepare an income statement. So an income statement is a build up from what we would have learned from analyzing transaction and recording them. So your assessment criteria and mark breakdown is as follows. The assessment is going to be out of 100. So section A, which means your assessment is going to be breakdown into three sections, section A, B, and C, where section A is going to focus on business mathematics concept, where it's going to hold a total of 30 marks out of 100. So that is the equivalent to 30% of your assessment. So it means that it is a must that you understand the basic mathematic principle and concept, which means including the terminologies within the business mathematic terminology. And then section B is going to be all about recording financial information. So in this section, it's going to hold 45 marks, which is equivalent to 45% of your assessment. You will be required to understand all the financial terminologies which are found within the accounting equation, which is your assets equals to owner's equity and liability. So you need to make sure that you understand the concept, the theoretical background of the concept, as well as the application of the concept, where you're going to be recording and analyzing transaction. And then lastly, you are going to be tested on financial reporting. In this case, it's going to hold 25 marks, which is equivalent to 25% of your assessment. You are, in this case or scenario, you will be required to either prepare an income statement or analyze the statement of financial position, which is your balance sheet statement. So this is where you get to do a practical financial statement. And then the other information that you need to be aware of for this coming assessment is as follows. These are the evidence or requirements that you need to adhere to during the assessment period. So the assessment is an in-class test to be written on the date and time indicated on this briefing, which is on the 9th of April, time which is 10 o'clock in the morning up until 1 p.m. in the afternoon. So you are not required to arrive more than 20 minutes late because you will not be allowed to sit for this assessment. So this means that you will be given the opportunity to attempt the supplementary. So the duration of the test is going to be 3 hours. You will not be allowed an extra time. Uh, no extra time will be given to any student. So which means that the test only runs for only 3 hours, and that only 3 hours from 10 up to 1 p.m. Once the tests have started, you are not allowed to leave the venue until 1 hour 15 minutes have passed. So this means that once you also submit your assessment after 1 hour 15 minutes or whenever you are done with your assessment, you will not be allowed to re-enter the test venue after you have left it, unless you will be allowed bathroom time if you do need the bathroom. But if you do submit your paper, you will not be allowed to re-enter the venue unless you have forgotten something behind. The test is an open book test, so this means that when it's an open book test, no notes will be allowed, which are handwritten or taken notes. Also, handwritten notes inside the textbook are also not allowed. This will disqualify you from using your textbook during the class. So you will be allowed to use your textbook during class, but please make sure that your textbook it is clean as it is and the way it came from the publisher. So this means that one thing that you are allowed to do on your textbook is to use highlighters and markers to indicate the page which contain a certain chapter or certain information that you will need. So that is the only thing that is allowed. You are allowed to highlight, but you are not allowed to write anything on your textbook. Calculators may be used, and each student is required to bring his or her own calculator. And calculator may not be shared during this assessment. No cell phone are allowed, also meaning that if you forget your calculator, you are not allowed to use your cell phone as a calculator. This current paper or this paper that you're going to write, you are required to answer all questions that will be required for you to complete during the assessment. There are no multiple choice question where you are required to choose one question over the other. All questions required, you will have to answer them. You will be provided with your answer sheet. You need to make sure that your answer sheet have got all your full details, and also sign at the end of each page to make sure that if one of the papers get attached to your answer book, we can be able to trace it back to your main paper. So the cover sheet of the assessment must be fully complete and signed as per instruction contained. Student must write with either a blue or a black pen. So these are the only pens that you are permitted to use to answer or to put your final answer on the answer book. T-pegs or pencil may not be used, and if you wish to change or correct your answer, you are required to put one straight line or one diagonal line depending on how big the information needs to be corrected. After that, you will be required to write your correct answer next to it. So I always advise that if you are going to cry something and you use a diagonal line, please try to answer on the next available space, not on the same lines, but maybe the lines below. And if you're out of line, please use the rough section to answer that particular question by indicating that this is the answer for 3 point something or 1 point something that have been cancelled in its correct page on page number 6 or page number 4. So this means this will allow us to be able to read your work neatly without having any challenges trying to figure out which one have been cancelled, which one was not cancelled. Because if you cancel a line with a diagonal line, it means that this you are saying that all the lines within that diagonal line that it have crossed by are all cancelled. If you are cancelling a paragraph, please just put a straight line, just cross within the words and then write your answers after the cross or after the sentence. Answers written in a pencil or Tipex will not be marked. Please write neatly. No marks will be given for illegible selection or answer. So if you write an answer and you give me two options of answers, this means that you will be this will be invalid your answers that you have given, and therefore you'll be given a zero on that particular question. So which means that you are required to indicate or write within the specified space for a specific question that is being required for you to complete. So do not make the lecture to select any of the answers if you are not aware of the answers. Please pick one specific answer that you believe it is the right answer and write it down. So those are the things that you need to be aware of in terms of your assessment. So just to give you a quick summary, you are required to write the assessment on the 9th of April 2025. The venue is room number 1 on the left building when you enter campus, opposite the venue that we normally use for Friday class. You are required to be 20 minutes earlier or not less than 20 minutes late for the assessment. You are also going to be required to sit in for this assessment. So this assessment is a sit-in assessment. You have to be on campus. It's going to be 3 hour long. You will not be given extra time. The test, you will be allowed to leave the venue after 1 hour 50 minutes once the test has started. You will have to answer all your questions. You are going to be assessed on the following section: business mathematics, recording financial information, and recording and financial reporting. So all the lesson outcome have been explained above. So this is all information you need with regard to your assessment. Mostly important, perfect practice makes perfect. So please make sure that you practice you and while you're practicing, you practice perfectly so that you become perfect in your understanding of the concept as well as in your assessment. So the assessment pass rate is 50. You need to achieve at least 50% for you to be found competent in this assessment. If you do not achieve the mark of 50, you might apply to write for supplementary for this formative assessment. So you need to achieve 50% on both assessments that are going to be given during this period for you to be found competent in this model. So hence, this is one of your important assessment that you're going to write. Please make sure you take your time to prepare for this assessment and also study very hard. Attend all your classes regularly and also inquire when you do need assistance. So that is all from my side. You will enjoy the rest of your day. We'll meet on the next lesson.